Cool. I hope we are live almost on the YouTube, and hopefully we also get that on the upcoming. So here we are, the broadcast center, live control. Everything looks good. And here we are. We are live, so thanks for joining. Good. Yes, and let's get started. We are good to go. Hey, and welcome. Yeah, probably will take a little while for everybody to get here, get started, and start figuring out what this is all about. If you're here, just leave a message in the comments. I'll try to reply to all of the different questions. So what I wanted to do today was cover a little about what it is that the Figaf tool does, why does it make sense, and what is it that you can use it for in your SAP PI PO migration project. And I think the sound is good, so I'll just mute this and hopefully it stays good all the way. This is always fun. Ask questions, and let's see how much we can figure out that it's going on. So what I wanted to cover today is a little about how you can use the free migration tool from Figaf. What is it that the migration is done, and how does it actually help you on the migration journey? Because I do know a lot of you are starting out with your migrations, and you need to have a good understanding about how is it that you're actually going to use this, what is the important things, and all these things. So this is what I wanted to cover today. Let's see. So it's a free tool, that enables you to get started. You can deploy it in your BTP Cloud Foundry app, and I think that's our recommended target for most customers. You can also use it locally, run it in a Docker. So there's a number of different ways to do it. It's all the same solution, but obviously you should not run it locally if you want your full team to be engaged in it, and that's part of the things we want with this. Once you got it up and running, you can actually also upgrade to the paid versions. It's fairly easy. Just come with a purchase order and we are good to go with it. And obviously you need to combine it with SAP's tools. What is all these things? And so I was just on a call earlier today with one of you, the people that are in the same scenario as you, that wanted to explore, okay, so we are going through this migration journey, what is it that we need to cover? And they were able to install it, migrate a few scenarios, they had some questions. It was actually really fun to be on this scenario. It's not all this same, what is it the tool can do, how does it work, all these things, and that was quite nice. So yes, let's see. So as we see the migration journey, there is a lot of steps in this. This is not just about install the Figaf tool or install and do migration. There's a lot of steps that you need to do, and the tool helps you in all this way. There's obviously some that is done by the free version, some that's done by the paid one. If we just look at the different components that we have here, this is the part that we have in the free version. We have our assessment tool. This we'll cover these in more details later, so just so we have an idea about it. Understanding what's going on in your landscape, what are the PI systems you have connected. We have this test data collection. This is about taking data from your PI system and migrate them to the test cases to the iFlows. And then there's this overview managing dashboard of your integrations. We also have our own ICO, our receiver determination migration, that makes sense in a number of different scenarios. So we recommend that you do explore that. And then we have the DevOps capabilities that's probably outside of what we have today time for. If this is something you want some more details on, please let me know in a comment that this is also of relevance for you. I hope you're with so far. We're going a little start, so just this is how you would install the tool in a BTP Cloud Foundry application. Once you have signed up, you will get into a help section where you will get all this information. And the customer I was talking with, SAP customer, they're not a customer yet, had gone through this, installed it himself, connected to all the different integrations to PI system using this and a lot of things. It is actually possible within a couple of hours to get it up and running with this. So obviously, you are hosting this in SAP. If you're hosting this in SAP's infrastructure, you need to pay with your BTP credits for this. But compared to everything else, this is small things that's important of this. Cool. Good. This is our overview, and when we started out with this, our intention was we wanted to make something that was easy to, well, we saw working with a lot of customers that they had a lot of Excel sheets about what was migrated, who migrated it, what the status was, and I don't know with you, but I think a lot of cases when you are working on in Excel and remembering to update the status is not something you do all the time, most of the time. So that was why we wanted to embed this into the tool and just create it in a simple way. And it is also really a good place to see everything that's going on with what are your created test cases, what's migrated, who migrated, when was this last, and when was this in production. We also built an assessment. We saw that SAP was coming out with an assessment. We had some questions for customers that said, hey, we need to understand our PI landscape in more detail before we go into an assessment or a migration, and this is what this assessment is about. This is about extracting all the content that you have in your PI system, building a report on it, going through a lot of these different steps about what is it that we can actually deliver in this. Obviously combine it, figure out what to do with it. One of the things is it is a little challenging to actually use in a good manner because there's a lot of information. It was much easier if we could condense it, but if we did that, you would be really limited in what you can do. Now you can put it into your pivot tables and go through and figure out how many scenarios do we have that are using specific adapter modules, etc. And this is what this is for. How many systems is connected to a given scenario? How many systems have a disabled adapter? Stuff like that. Really useful. And this is the report that we created on top of this. So we were working on a couple of cases, I guess, a year ago, and it's like we know that we have some, and so a lot of all the development we do is based on some of the challenges we're facing when we're meeting with customers about how is it that you're actually working with these migration, what's actually hindering you for progressing. And based on that, we are able to take some leaps on this. One of the questions we had there was, we have some SFTP adapters that use persistency. How do we actually deal with this or figure out how many we have that? And obviously you could go through the search for SFTP adapters with this specific tag, and it's like, but then you would need to go back until the assessment and figure out how all these things work. So we created this that just enable you to define a number of XPaths for specific object that will then be populated back into the flow. And obviously, if you have questions, put them into the chat. That is what this is for, and exploring what is it that you can actually do here. Obviously, testing is the part that is being promoted by SAP that you can use the tool for. This is about limiting the time that it takes to build, because it's pretty easy to migrate. You just click migrate and then you have a migrated scenario. If you don't have a good way to test it, it is going to take you a long time about figuring out, how do we actually resolve these scenarios? What is it that are the main drivers of these things? And once you have that, you can then go in and go into more details on some of these stories. Let me just see if there's any comments yet. Yeah, so questions, just put them into the chat and I'll try to cover those as well as possible. Yeah, and yeah, if you are, yeah, please also share it with the world. That would really mean a lot to me. But yeah, if you can test simpler, if you have the ability, it would shrink your timeline, limit the number of challenges that you would face, because the sooner you can fix it, the less of the same mistakes is it that you're making. And this is what all of this is about, shrinking the timeline for the migration. It works quite simple. Take some messages from the PI system. You can obviously do this manually. The challenge is to do it at scale, being able to fetch 10, 100 messages and use them for your scenarios. Obviously, depending on complexity scenarios, we have the ability to filter. If you have 100,000 invoices where 900 is to one customer, or you probably don't want to filter or have that set, and you just want to say, okay, let's just do 10 or 50 from this specific customer. So there's ways you can go in and modify the test cases so they become more relevant for the scenarios that you have. If any questions, just put them into the chat. I would really appreciate that. Good. We also have our own migration tool that, and this is something that you do have when you have gotten this free migration edition, that you can actually use this and explore it. And this is also one of the great benefits of having this migration edition. Install it, run it, and then once you are satisfied with it, or if you think that it simplifies your workflow, you just go and say, okay, we want to pay for 100 ICOs, 100 euros each. That is something, so it supports pipeline fully. We convert function libraries to Groupies. We have our own method for migrating, supports dual stack objects. There's a lot of benefits of using this approach. But before you start migrating, it's really difficult to know which one is the one fit for you, and that's always why we say explore it, compare the result. It may take a little while for you to get used to running this, but once you have, it will greatly simplify the journey. There's less parameters. There's a lot of things that makes it differently. I've put in a demo. If there's something specific you want to see, just put it into the chat and I'll try to cover that. Good. There, one here, yeah. Okay. Cool. So the idea is we have the tool running here. We have set it up. I'll not go through all the different steps, but the idea is that we can go in. Maybe I will. We can go and we can create this report based on the number of messages that has been processed. We can look at the statistical information. Is current month or last month the one we want to use? Depends a little on. I guess it does not really matter too much for now, because we'll just get this with these details. So let's see here what we have. And here we have the ICOs. We have, so normally I would go in and I would add filters. I will freeze the first column. Freeze top row, because then we have a good understanding of what's going on here. And what you can see here is all the different ICOs. Some of these ICOs are multiple times. This is if they have multiple receivers. We have if there's problems with the connections. We have the modules, different non-transportable objects. And a small trick is this is also really useful if you have a large PI landscape and just want to get a good understanding of what it actually is that you're having. So even you're not doing migration, this could also be quite beneficial for you. we have the sender tags, and this is the part that I mentioned that we can easily, we have released some of our tags, but you can also easily go in and create your own tags, just create an XPath for a specific element, and then you can see all the ICOs that has that specific problem. If it's relevant for BPM, operation mappings, number of method mappings, scenarios, etc. that's being used, imported archives. This was how we started building this thing about challenges, where we added this challenge column, but obviously that was not really scalable. We needed to go to the development, deploy a new version each time we wanted something else. That's why we have the tag. But this can give you some extra information. Something here about an error running on the SOAP service. Interesting, useful information. Number of test cases we have if it's migrated, and number of messages that's being sent on this specific scenario. So this gives you a really good overview of your current PI landscape, and as a lot of insight about how you can actually, what is it that you need to migrate, plan all of this as a one go. And obviously if you're a consultant, getting this makes it a lot easier to go through with your customers and say, okay, this is how we're going to migrate. This is give them a better estimate with more details on. Good. We also have the option here to create tags and say, okay, we want to create some wave 1 in here and only see the messages for specific waves. Not really relevant. And then we can fetch data from our PI system. We just select record here. True, live. We can fetch a chosen message group. So we have some messages here that was processed. So the idea is we just go to the PI system, select what data we have there. We can see everything is set up correctly. We know someone has been processing the messages. So the idea is obviously you want to either fetch some specific messages that if you know it, or you just want to select the next 1,000 messages that is being processed on this. And there's a lot of details you can go into once you start exploring this. And there's going to be some things that's not working all the time because you need to learn how the tool works. Questions, comments, just put them into the chat and I'll try to pick them up and reply to them or comment on them. So now we have this up and running. We can see we have 1 inbound and 6 outgoing, 3 outgoing messages. We just create a test case on this. Okay, so now we have 12 instead of 11. The next thing is we can go and migrate this. So obviously this is a part of the paid version that you can upgrade to, but obviously you do have access to it, so you can see if this is something that would simplify your life. Now I'm just trying with the pipeline all concept. We just put in the date here to not override existing ones. We can specify the message interface. All the things that is needed in the pipeline is being deployed. We check here. I think we need to regenerate the names because we have modified some of these artifacts. We can see everything that is being created here. So it creates all the artifacts for it. We can go into a much more detailed discussion on the pipeline, but just as an idea about what's going on, we can check all the artifacts or how the migration would look like. And then we just press migrate, which will take all of these artifacts, migrate it into a number of CPI flows, trigger them, deploy them, all these things that just simplifies the operational aspects of this. Good. So now everything is up and running. We have migrated things. Next is we just want to migrate the test case. And here we select the message we just created. We add it to our test suite. And here it knows, because it's a pipeline, where if I send the message into this one, where can I pick it out? And then there's 2 different iflows at 2 different steps, and it's like, okay, cool, let's get that. And we can then go and we can run this this test. And there, I think there's probably one or two of these that are not really running as we would expect them, but I guess the idea is we just want to get some of this, see that we can pick up some messages and we can run some comparisons on these different scenarios. Where is it? So we do have a number of, we can see how well it is processing, so we can actually see there was an error here. Everything was actually successful. The only thing was a couple of dates that were different, so it's easy to go in and ignore a date. And then there was something about a cached variable that we had that was changed. So that was actually how you would create migrated test case. That was actually an end-to-end scenario that we did about migrating, testing this migration, and it all worked out smoothly. So we just need to update the test case, and that is also how it works. And obviously it also works with simple migrations, so there is a lot of different scenarios that we can cover in this. Any questions, comments on this? I would obviously like to get your feedback and scenarios. What is it? How does this work? Is this what you're looking for? Or is there some of these things that I didn't cover well? So obviously this is a, I don't know, 7-minute demonstration or something like that. We'll probably see the replay of it. Covering a lot of variations, a lot of scenarios, and this is some of the things that we can simplify with this. Cool. And yeah, then let's just go back. If there are comments, we can go and look more into details on some of these things. So obviously we come with this DevOps tool as a part of this, and you can then figure out which of the parts you want to license. I think if you're going for migration, one of the things that's important is to understand how you're actually building your next level infrastructure. What is it that the iFlows that you're using? How is all these things going to work? And this is what this DevOps process can help you with, reusing some of the tenants, all these things that is a bit of a challenge in a normal cloud integration world. We try to make it easy, give you all the things that you need for this. And yeah, once you have the tool, there's a lot of things that you can go and explore. Create a message mapping documentation. So one of the things you have is, if you have a number of different message mapping, you can, for instance, EDI message mapping, you can just compare these across and see, okay, we have this in, this field is mapped in this specific way, and thus makes it really easy to simplify some of these different requirements. And there's a lot more. So obviously it's something you can spend a lot of time on. But also if you get to understand it and get to use it, it's also something that can save a lot of time on your migration journey. I would obviously recommend that you get started today. I think this is the best blog that I have created on this topic, and I think this was also the one that the customer had used to explore this this tool. How is it? How to install it? How to run it? How to migrate? All these things. And yeah, you can run it locally. The video covers that. There's chapters, so you can go to the part that really makes sense for you. And take those scenarios, and yeah, spend a couple of hours on it. Learn how this can simplify it, because if you're going with a migration, you are going to spend significant time on this. And I would say if you go in and create this assessment report or landscape report, this is, even these 4 hours you're going to spend on this evaluation, it is clearly worth that, if not more, because alternative is you're doing some extract from ESR or repository and trying to mix these things, like not really going to give you all the details that we have put into this. And so if nothing else worked, this is the part that would actually be of use for your migration project. And that was actually all I wanted to cover. 24 minutes in total. So if you have questions, comments, please put them into the chat and I'll try to cover those. And yeah, if there's something I have not seen, just let me know. I would love to cover those scenarios because yeah, it's important. But I hope you like this. You can see some of the benefits of using a tool to work on some of these scenarios, because yeah, a migration is something that where you are going to work on significant amount of time. Spend the time on it, get the right infrastructure, and yeah, when we talk about infrastructure, it is one of the things that is also going to be challenging to get the whatever basis organizations or IT organizations to figure out how to install an SFTP server or Cloud Connect or all these fun things that you would need as a part of such a project. So is there a list of what cannot be migrated with the tool? So it's kind of the things that is a bit of a challenge. So we know, for instance, right now I don't think we're supporting wildcard IQs. It's not something that is particularly difficult to add. So if there's a request for it, we'll probably add that. There's obviously a couple of scenarios that may be a little more difficult to migrate, but it gets down to the smaller details. So we had some scenarios where we had my coffee machine is where we had what was it? User-defined functions where with all values of a queue that's not supported in the Groovy, so we had to do some mixing between these scenarios. Right now we've just finished an EDI migration project where we just took the B2B migrations and migrated those, and that worked fairly smooth. There was some things that needed to be fixed as a part of this. So in general, I would say see what's possible. If there is something that is not possible, ABAP mapping, for instance, is not possible. Java, I think for Java mapping, we did make the same quirk as SAP does about just adding a Groovy script and linking to a jar, and like, it's not really pretty. Obviously, it needs to be something that is supported by Integration Suite. We don't supply specific adapters. You can create your own templates for the adapters that you're using. I hope that answers it. But yeah, we don't have BPM, for instance, is also one of the things that is not possible. There you need to migrate it as separate iFlows. So we had a scenario today where they had a decoupling and they would need to do some quirk and workarounds, but I think it would actually work fairly smooth about they could use the pipeline concept for these things. So that was the recommendation for it. Thanks. Hope this answers it. Anything else that we should be covering? And yeah, I forgot. I hope I didn't show anything on the video because I forgot to switch it over. Oh, there is a comment here. No comments. So yes, thanks for attending. Thanks for listening in. And yeah, feel free. Yes, we will see you in St. Ruth, and I think that is going to be such an interesting event. So that'll be fun meeting you there, Sven. So thanks for joining. Thanks for attending. Thanks for your comments, likes, and yeah, obviously, please, if you find this useful, give it a like, share it, and I hope you will go in and explore the Migration Edition and see how it can simplify your life. Thank you.